I'm gonna use my countertop. When I use my countertop, I have to wash the countertop using soap and sponge. You dampen the towel, wipe the soap off. I'm gonna dry it off. The reason we don't want any moisture in your biscuits is because it's going to affect your product output, okay? All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna transfer all of this onto the countertop. All I'm doing is patting it down dry. And then we're gonna use a biscuit cutter and cut it out. Now I want someone else to come and do that. Who's gonna help and volunteer? Come on, Alexis, thank you. Wash your hands, please. Draymond, since you're tall, can you grab that parchment paper from that? Now there's a difference between parchment paper and wax paper. Wax paper, you cannot put it in the oven. All right? So we're gonna take a cookie sheet. Yeah, cut up with that. It's a parchment paper. We're gonna line it, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the biscuits right there. As you see, it is gooey. So these are cheddar biscuits. Now what is the texture of the dough? Gooey? Yeah, that's how it's gonna be. And you see the height of the biscuits? It's about ½ inch thick. So when you're patting it on the countertop, it has to be ½ inch thick, or a little bit more than that. Did you write down preheat oven to 450? This is just to get the shape. Biscuits don't need shape actually. The one that you see in Red Lobster does, so that's why we use this. But you can actually pick up the batter and then drop it right there. How do you know the oven is preheated? Because the preheat sign has been removed. So we're gonna put this in the oven. I should have used a smaller parchment paper. And then write down, bake for 10 to 12 minutes. It's 8:25 now. We'll see what it looks like at 8:35. Any questions as to how to make the cheddar biscuits? Any questions, guys? All right.
We are newly created. My name is Tanae.
My name is Colin, and today I'm going to interview our culinary teacher at Plainfield High School, of course, Ms. Jacobs. What motivated you, or what persuaded you to become
A teacher.
Yeah.
All right. So when I was in my 10th grade, I was like any other regular teenager. I was naughty. But my 10th grade teacher was a motivating factor in bringing me to who I am. So she was a motivating factor for me to be a teacher, because whatever she did for me, I wanted to do it for my students. So that is why when you come in day 1 or day 2, I tell you all that I treat you like my own children, which I do. I'm a very strict mother and a strict teacher.
I understand.
Yeah.
So, how do you organize your play your work?
For example, like right now I'm doing my lesson plans for next week. And I know that I will not be able to go shopping today. I made sure that Monday I demonstrate something, and then I'll go shopping on Monday. So without the lesson plans, I do not proceed any further. And also because being the foods teacher, I have a shopping list that I do, and I categorize it by aisles so that I go and shop in the given time and be back for work. I shop sometimes twice a week because my culinary arts 2 students, they plan their own menu and then they give me the shopping list. So sometimes I run off the store 2 times a week.
Do you feel that teenagers are say, mature enough to be able to use, to be on the stove when you first, as in like when you first started, did you think that teenagers were pretty appropriate for the job?
I had to go back to my nephew. My nephew, when he was 7, started baking. So his mother taught him how to bake, and last summer I spent about 5 weeks with him, and he was 9 at that time. He helped me to cook breakfast or anything. If he at such a young age could start cooking, why not teenagers?
What helped you become better, or like what made you become like a better teacher? Everybody says that you are like a better teacher.
The mistakes that I did in my life, that made me a better teacher, because everyone learns from mistakes. So whatever mistake I made, I learn from them, and that makes me a better person or a better teacher. So, yep, mistakes.
Do you feel that classes there should be like a block period, no period, or do you feel like you have enough time?
Whatever time is given, I make sure that I manage my time with that. For example, I just did my lesson plans for Culinary Arts 1. We are planning to do cinnamon rolls. So cinnamon rolls takes 3 days to make. But the day before that, they're actually making pizza dough. And they're making baking pizza. So when the pizza is baking, I'm going to be demonstrating cinnamon rolls. And in the time, they will go and make the dough for the cinnamon rolls. So I plan what is doable and what's not doable. And based on that, I do my planning and the teaching.
Yeah, how did you become a chef?
All right, correction, I'm not a chef. I'm a family and consumer science teacher. And basically, my degree is from India. And when I did the degree in India, my intention was, to stay at home. Back in India, I taught science and math and English. And when I came here, the culinary arts degree that I had, or the family and consumer science degree that I had, helped me to get a job here. And then I went to CIA, Culinary Institute of America, to learn the way it's taught here. Because my education was in India.
Yes, it's very different.
So to inculcate that, I did like a boot camp in CIA, and I'm offering that to my students right now.
So like, have you served on like any committees to help like with the school?
Of course, yes.
Like how?
A few years ago, we had a committee for NJQSAC or something like that. I was in the committee for water, and when we realized, when we questioned and when we did research, none of these water filters were ever changed, or they didn't have a filter. So being in the committee, I questioned them, and now you see a lot of water filters with filter and filtered water. So.
Is it correct that you have a FCCNA group?
Yes, I did. That was a club that I ran. Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. It is actually a student-run organization. But what happened was, as a senior, they start working. It was difficult for me to get students to come into the club because it's a student-run organization. So every year, I used to go get some students, and by the time we had to go for competitions, they would say they would have no time because they started working.
Yes.
So 3 years ago, I made the decision to not have FCCLA because of that reason. One of the requirements of FCCLA is they should have been my student. They should have taken a family and consumer science student. So having that restriction, I was forced to only take in students that are currently enrolled, or they have had me, or Miss Yorio. So because of that constraint, I could not take or open up to everyone. But if there's another club that can open up for everyone, yes. To teach cooking or whatever, yes, I would do it.
Do you think any of your students have went over like the cooking passion outside of school?
Yes, some of them have taken up being a culinary arts as their passion. Yes.
I want to be a chef. I want to be a culinary teacher like you.
All right.
So if I was to go in that career, what advice or recommendation would you have for me?
And you're a junior.
Yes.
You should have taken culinary arts now, so that next year you would take culinary arts too. What I also do is I invite chefs from universities, so you can reach out to them, or they'll reach out to you when they're here demonstrating, and they'll be able to guide you better. My recommendation for you is to go to CIA. Yes.
Have you recommended any other businesses?
Yes.
So if you was a student here in this current era, which two teachers would you love to be a student?
To To answer that question, I should have observed or been in a classroom with other teachers. I haven't, but I would really love to learn woodshop. Yes, because I've never learned. So I want to learn woodshop. I would also like to learn dancing. Yes, that's because I don't know how to dance.
What's your favorite dish to make or cuisine? Any traditional dishes that you?
Indian food,
Yes.
because I'm from India.
Yeah.
And then we make a dish called biryani, which is a rice and chicken dish. That is made on special occasions, so birthdays, wedding anniversaries or anything. So I would make that.
What is like your favorite teaching style? Is it hands-on or like more?
Definitely hands-on, but we do learn from textbooks too, because the textbook actually helps students to understand what we learn.
And when I used to be a student freshman year, you had talked about taking your students to foreign countries, as in Paris. And I remember you saying you took your kids.
That's for the class advisors.
Yeah.
That's what we did, but then now I'm a sophomore class advisor, and what we have realized is because of our population being so diverse, not a lot of them have passports. Some of them are afraid to leave the country. So that is a question mark, going to foreign countries.
As I was saying, as being in that foreign country, how was the culinary culture, like how people eat compared to us?
I have visited different countries, so with that knowledge, here in America, we are spoiled. Yes, our plate sizes are generous, overfilling. But when I went to Burger King in Venice, their burgers were this small, and my son had to eat 3 of them, but still hungry. Yes.
Do you think that your students, do they feel like comfortable with you, like when you start to come in, like are you like mean or something to them?
I'm strict.
Okay.
I'm very strict. There's a difference between strict and being mean. Well, I get upset when students don't do their work. When they do their work, I love them as much as anyone would love. But if they don't do the work, it hurts me, it bothers me. As long as they're doing the work, I have no problem. You'll be my student, so you can vouch for that. If that's what they call mean, being strict, then that's what it is.
Like they get socials very.
Well, I mean, it's for their own safety, because
Yeah.
you can't let kids, especially with gas, do whatever they want.
Yeah, with knives and, yeah, you can get hurt. Yeah.
Your students, when they cook, like if you're cooking like bacon or like a couple like dishes like
They actually prefer to cook, but 2 of my ranges are down, so baking is easier because like 2 days ago we made pancakes. So I had 10 students standing right here because both their stoves were not working.
Wow.
So they made the pancakes right here.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Ms. Jacobs. And
I love your
that's it for our
outfit.
interview.